you, but don't think that he should have came at her through that type of threat, because he pretty much threatened to come at her, to get his dogs and come at her. And I don't think that he should have did it. I think he's too old for that type of stuff. And it's 2020. You know, that type of stuff doesn't go over well on mass media. I think that was his only mistake, really. Now, someone else can go.
Snoop, see, I kind of it's one of those things where I don't agree, but I understand, and I don't agree in the sense that he needed to go like that hard, because, as Clarence said, the media is going to chew you up, especially you being a black man, especially you being a former gangster rapper, because they're going to use that shit against you. They're going to use every other thing. You know, you already done cheated on your wife. Like, there's a whole lot of shit in your past that they'll bring up to demonize you. So when you go that hard, I understand. A lot of black men understand, because motherfuckers don't listen to us. Even when we're right, even when we see the shit coming, if it's coming from a black man, that we're this, we're abusers, we're homophobic, we're fucking misogynists, like all that shit comes out. But when we get proven right, no one wants to offer us an apology, or no one wants to admit that we were actually fucking right about the shit. So Snoop Dogg going that hard is like, yeah, like when this is how we speak when we in our spaces. Like, we gonna call Gayle King a dog faced ass bitch and shit like that. This is like when we passionate about shit, like when we go hard for people that we really fuck with, that we really love, we gonna go hard. So to that point, I understand, but you know, I only really disagree with, like, as Clarence said, like what he actually said in the public, because that shit could have been said, like, you know what I'm saying, like probably in his own little podcast or whatever. Like, if he had something like that, it'll be his own little space. He can say whatever the fuck he want. But to say that like out there, not, you know what I'm saying? Of course they're gonna twist it. It's not right. And you know, obviously he said that within context, but the fact that he had to, you know, apologize shows even further that they'll demonize your character in order to get you to do something. It happened with Kevin Hart. He got pulled from the Oscars after stuff about him being homophobic apparently came up. We all knew it was jokes. Like, black men, we all knew it was jokes. We all knew that he wasn't really gonna throw a freaking dollhouse at his son for being gay. But you know, he caught his ass, and then you know he had to bow down. You know what I'm saying?
You know, as far as the Kevin Hart thing goes, we all know they jokes, but to some people, it's like me when I see certain things and people make certain like whooping jokes. Being through something is different than when you don't go through it. And I actually recently watched the Kevin Hart documentary, and there's one thing he said he did learn, and what he did, it wasn't that, you know, people are like, oh, people go back and now they want to apologize. Sometimes you just got to be told the right message. And in the documentary, I forgot who he said told him. I think it was I can't remember, but the person told him it's not about the apology. It was about not condoning violence. Now, that's something he had to learn. And I think, as far as the Kevin Hart go, and as far as Snoop Dogg, I understand, you know, LA, the Lakers mean, you know, over there, the Lakers are literally the culture and a part of, I think Kendrick Lamar said it, you know, Kobe became part of everybody's identity out there. So, you know, and Snoop Dogg, who probably was even more of a personal friend, probably hung out with him or whatever, you know, on a more personal level. Of course you're going to respond like that, especially about a friend.
Yeah.
Now, as far as Gayle King, whatever, as far as what she said, as a journalist, I see nothing wrong with the question she asked Leslie, but the problem, I think, extended was telling Leslie you wouldn't see it. As she told her, he's not that type of guy. That she kept pressing the issue was more the problem.
Yeah, she was harping on the same question over and over again.
Yeah,
like she was trying to push that, oh, this is true, and I'm gonna get it to come out of your mouth that this is true, or get you to sway your view on it, or something like that.
And some people, they think there's still people.
Oh shit, he got cut off.
Hello?
He actually got cut off. I was just about to say, he actually said what I said last week, with them framing the narrative that Gayle King wanted her to basically like soft admit that Kobe did it or whatever. And she just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. I'm like, bruh, the dude is like,
Hello?
Yeah, hello. He's back.
I don't know what the hell happened.
Yeah.
I was speaking of the case. Some people think he still did it due to the fact there was a payment to the victim, but they didn't look at the other stuff. Like, people say there was a lot of incoherent in her story. When she went up and got, for a rape kit, there was other men DNA on her, and her excuse was, I just grabbed something. Her excuse was, I just grabbed something out of the laundry. Then somebody reported that she said she wanted to find a way into Kobe's room or something, and they said the civil, it was just a lie. She stopped coordinating with the police. And don't get me wrong, I know sometimes, like, being in the military, they tell you the grilling that people got to go to, and I know some women who've been through stuff, and they're just like, they just don't want to do it because it don't feel like it's gonna be an end to it. But to say Kobe did it, we weren't there. He did say he had sex with her, and it could just be a lot. I mean, and I mean, as far as some things, I've been, thinking I was cool with the chick talking, not done nothing like sexual, just like trying to, take her out, flirt with her or whatever. Nothing physical, but they come, I don't like you like that, but instead of just telling you because they're scared, and sometimes they need it. I like a woman to speak up. You gotta speak your mind.
That's the thing with some women.
But that shit, over years dealing with women, I just learned I'm gonna back off. I'm gonna need you to tell me before I do anything. From seeing other things happen to people, and I want to say, little close clause because somebody miscommunication from one of us.
And to back up what you said real quick, I just think it's still a learning process for a lot of people. Because like 10, 20 years ago, we wasn't really on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if a woman came up to you and said, oh, I really didn't feel like doing it, but I did it anyway. Like, today, a lot of people would consider that rape. But like back then, that wasn't really rape. You just gang goofy. But like,
are you talking about sexual coercion?
Yeah, like a lot of people nowadays would consider sexual coercion rape because, like, say you like they bring up that shit all the time. Where like, did you have a married couple and the dude keeps wanting to sleep with his wife? Her wife don't feel like it, but like after the fourth time asking, she goes, okay, fine. Like, they call that rape today, but back then it wasn't called rape. So it's a culture change. It's like shit is changing, and you know what I'm saying? While we're having these conversations, a lot of motherfuckers is still going to be stuck in that same, mentality that there was 10, 20 years ago.
You know what?
Having that conversation, you just got to keep that in mind.
You know what? Wallace, you remind me of reading an article and the way somebody responded to that article. The article was a man turned himself in for having sex with his wife while he was asleep. And one dude came on my status like, that's not rape, that's his wife. My girls do to me I was like, that's something y'all establish and understand, but if you actually look at it, some people don't want to be touching their sleep. Even though it's his wife, some people don't want to be walking up with a finger in their booty hole. And he kept arguing with me like, I had girls do that to me, giving me head while I'm sleeping. I was like, that's something that y'all understood, but for her, that was, that's probably not the case. But come find out though, her husband was actually like taking advantage of his wife while she was drunk. Different case, but some people just don't, want it. Everybody gonna want that. Man. You say you don't want to be woken up by sex until it's a guy doing it, then you're gonna have a problem.
I know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I know some progressive people who will have sex with you while they're drunk. I know some progressive girls that had sex with me while I was drunk. So,
true.
They claim to be progressive real hard too.
I've seen many statuses from women on Facebook like, I'm drinking alcohol and I wish I had a boo head for the after effects.
Mm-hmm.
Or Jamie Foxx's whole song, blame it on the alcohol. You know what I mean? Women were loving that song.
Mm-hmm. A lot.
A lot.
I remember when it came out.
But I mean, it's just like Wallace said, it's all about talking and understanding. Because I know I remember growing up, hearing things, women like aggressive men, and you got to be bold and all that. Some truth to that, but you got to know the person a little bit first or something. You just can't be out here willy-nilly with somebody like, oh yeah.
Can't be going straight ham on people you don't really know like that.
Okay. The way I see this whole situation, it should have never gotten the white media. That's my whole problem with this whole thing. First things first, I don't feel like Gayle never really fully apologized. She kind of like placed the blame on CBS, but never really took like accountability for it. So I feel like that's another reason why I feel like a lot of black men are mad at her because there was no accountability. Another thing, I don't have a problem with Snoop did, but death threats are a bit too much. I will admit that, even though I don't think he was threatening people. But I know there are stupid people who probably think of it as a threat, so they would probably like go out and see Gayle, probably do some bodily harm to her. So yeah, the threatening part, it is a bit much and all that other stuff. But I've always told people, if you're going to say something like, especially when it's like your homeboy or your close friend or your relative, if anybody say something disrespectful to your mom or to them and they're dead, I'm pretty sure you're going to want to fight the nigga. And I've told people that, and I can understand like Snoop Dogg's anger because he started out, if anybody noticed, he started out calm. But I guess when he started mentioning Kobe, it started getting angry. You can see that anger build up. And after filthy dog head bitch, and that's where he's like, man, fuck it, I'm just gonna let that shit fly. I was watching something on CNBC. I think that's MSNBC, and the guy Joe Scarborough, he was just like going on this stupid ass rant about how come no one is protecting black women and all that other stuff. I thought it was the most disingenuous shit. To me, I thought it was the most disingenuous shit, and it made it about more or less about Gayle than about Kobe Bryant and his family. And I've seen a lot of YouTubers make it a gender war between black men and black women, which I also disagree with because this is not about black men and black women. And like Father always said, generalization doesn't work. This should have been about Gayle King and what she did in the interview with Lisa Leslie, and it should have stayed there. As far as Gayle and Snoop, I feel like they should have just kept that conversation between them. I'm pretty sure they got their numbers. If not, they could DM each other and they could talk about how you was out of pocket. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't mind them saying that publicly, and Snoop did apologize. But I feel like we're not hearing from Gayle. And I would like to hear from Gayle for one thing. And another thing, it also taught me that a lot of people like it's like black man, we ain't got no fallback plan because they was going after his money. Not only like they was like, where's Viacom? They was trying to bring Martha Stewart into it. They was trying to bring other people that like Snoop done work with into it. I was watching First Things First on Fox Sports 1, and like Snoop was like, hey, if you need, he was talking to Tom Brady, and he was like, hey, you need a wide receiver, let me know. And Tom Brady was like, okay. And the dude, Nick Wright, that's one of the hosts, he was like, so we just not going to talk about what Snoop did this week? And it's like, y'all a sports show. Y'all don't have to talk about that. That's none of your business. And also, fuck Al Sharpton. Because I feel like he was buck dancing for White Daddy too. White Zaddy. Especially, I feel like if they was coming to him, he should have been like, this is a black person's business and y'all should have minded. So the biggest thing I took out of it is that white media was getting into it, and it seems like